The idea of a bridge over the Bering Strait stands out as one of the most daring in the field of major infrastructure projects. This proposed connection between North America and Asia has the potential to reshape travel and trade routes. But is it achievable? This video goes into the idea of a Bering Strait bridge, looking at its historical context, obstacles, and potential benefits. At the first glance, North America and Asia appear worlds apart, separated by the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. However, history reveals a time when these continents were far more interconnected than they are today. Roughly 11,000 years ago, a land mass known as Beringia emerged, bridging the gap between these two continents. During this period, land bridges connected not only North America and Asia, but also Europe, Africa, and South America. The ancient land bridge Beringia was critical in the migration of early Native Americans from Asia to the Western Hemisphere. Around 15,000 years ago, this land connection enabled the ancestors of modern-day Native Americans to form societies in the previously uninhabited Western Hemisphere. Unfortunately, this land bridge was destroyed by rising sea levels approximately 11,000 years ago, cutting the physical link between the continents. The Bering Strait, a narrow body of water that currently divides Asia and North America, was created as a result of Beringia being flooded. Even though there is a geographical divide, history and contemporary exploration achievements show that the gap can be crossed. In fact, travelers have crossed the strait in the winter when it freezes, utilizing tools like dog sledges, skis, and even customized cars. However, the question is whether we will see the connecting of these two continents by a bridge or tunnel in our lifetimes. With global sea levels continuing to rise, it appears unthinkable that nature alone could support a change like this. However, the possibility of human-engineered infrastructure remains exciting. Consider a world in which a bridge across the Bering Strait allows for smooth travel between North America and Asia. The strait is barely 51 miles across at its narrowest point, and two islands known as the Diomede Islands sit roughly in its center. This opens up the possibility of building two bridges or tunnels, each around 25 miles long, with an additional link connecting the islands. In particular, the depth of the water in the strait is relatively shallow, reaching just 55 meters at its deepest point. Such depths pose no unconquerable challenges to modern construction techniques. A precedent for long connections over open waters exists in projects like the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, which extends a staggering 434 miles. With these precedents in mind, the geological and technical barriers to a Bering Strait connection are not impossible. The prospect of a Bering Strait bridge is attractive, promising previously unthinkable road journeys and commercial routes. Consider driving from Washington, D.C. to Moscow or New York City to Paris, both of which are made possible by this ambitious project. However, practical considerations and logistical challenges must be addressed. The most obvious obstacle is the Bering Strait region's isolation. Alaska's current road networks hardly reach this remote area. Thousands of miles of new highways and railroads would need to be built to connect the region to major population centers in order for the bridge to become a reality. The cold Arctic climate complicates problems even more, limiting construction to only 5 months of the year due to harsh winter conditions. On the Russian side, challenges are even greater. The Chukotka Autonomous Okrug, which includes the western side of the strait, is vast in size but sparse in population. The absence of existing railroads and the remoteness of the area amplify the logistical complexity. The question of economic viability arises, particularly when considering the enormous cost of construction. From a financial perspective, the construction of a Bering Strait bridge raises significant questions. The estimates for such a project vary, with figures as high as $105 billion being proposed, which is 5 times the price of the English Channel Tunnel. This staggering cost, coupled with the fact that the regions on both sides lack significant populations and established transportation networks, cast doubt on the immediate economic feasibility of the venture. However, the evolving geopolitical landscape and the prospect of increased Arctic activity could shift the equation. With the Arctic region warming and opening up new trade routes, the potential for transporting valuable resources across the bridge becomes a tantalizing prospect. A pipeline for oil and gas could potentially generate substantial revenue, changing the economic calculus in favor of the project. The thought of a bridge across the Bering Strait captures people's interest because it inspires ideas of transcendental travel and revolutionary business activities. Even though it is technically possible to build such a bridge, the logistical and financial difficulties are significant. Significant obstacles must be overcome due to the area's isolation, its harsh environment, and its outdated infrastructure. In the face of these challenges, the prospect of a Bering Strait bridge remains a distant dream. As we look into the future, the evolving global landscape and changing economic dynamics could reshape the feasibility of such an ambitious attempt. While the Bering Strait Bridge may not become a reality in our lifetimes, its exploration reminds us of the boundless human capacity for innovation and daring.